So now as we begin, allow me to introduce the theme of this evening's discussion. It's power of perspective. In a world full of constant disruption and change, perspective is what turns experience into insight, challenges into opportunities, and vision into leadership. Each of our panelists bring with them a unique perspective, shaped by their field, their journey, and their purpose. And with that, let's begin. So, Dr. Salvin. You've spent decades exploring the intersection of health, mindset, and transformation. Your journey from science to spirituality has empowered thousands around the globe. We're excited to hear your thoughts on the energy of leadership, how mindset and presence influence organizational culture. Over to you, Dr. Salvin.
Thank you very much. I'm Dr. Linda Salvin. I am honored to be here, as I said earlier. To answer the question, I went from being an epidemiologist, that big word for the pandemic. I got the degree in 1977 from the University of Michigan, very scientific, analytical, diagnostic, medical, statistical, demographic, the heavy stuff. I was in a plane crash in 1981, became psychic. And that's not something you could Google because the internet didn't hit till 1996. So in between, I had to figure out what was going on. A lot of change, a lot of growth, a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety. My career, I couldn't go back to public health, but I knew something had changed. I ended up in radio, bypassed 2 music deals, a comedy deal, and I kept going forward with this push of passion for God, spirituality, the unknown, but to help. I was saved in a plane crash for a purpose, but I didn't know it back then. It took me 12 years to figure it out. Fast forward, got into radio, spent over 20 years on AM, FM, what we call terrestrial, and then I went to satellite. Now it's on the internet, and then, but I've been a broadcaster or whatever with God, talking about spirituality. But through the time of my broadcasting, I evolved in business. And what I learned dealing with producers, directors, program directors, different companies for sponsorship, getting trained in a spiritual candle line, I kept evolving. But I had to keep up with the business and the attitude. And there were a lot of people that ditched me, criticized me, took advantage of me. I kept going. And I kept going. And I developed my own business. I am an S Corp in the state of California for 24 years. I am recognized in business. I have a business attitude. I have a brain for business. And I'm also female, so I can be taken advantage of, or I can be vulnerable, or I can be cranky, or I can be, moody. But the spirit of business and how I apply it, a lot of times I'm a psychic, so I read people, and if they're giving me a hard time, I'll pull something out of thin air that makes them stop. So I use my gift as a tool, but I don't always get what I want, but I get what I need. And that's what I've learned in, 44 years since the plane crash and 31 years on radio, that we don't always get what we want. But when you take the spiritual aspects and apply it to business, there's rejection, there's acceptance, there's motivation, there's, as you say in Jewish, finagling, you kind of wiggle the wheel a little bit, you kind of manipulate. But I became a team player. And if I don't like your team, you'll know it. Because if you don't believe in how I feel, it's not the right mix. Or you'll come back later and say, I was wrong. It's like, I'm over you. You hurt me once, you're not going to do it again. I've learned in business, the spirit of success comes from balance. You got to balance it. And I think it's through the changes and the challenges of the digital age coming up since 2009. I was on CBS Radio for many years, and talk radio went off the air, as we know. And I was lost. Like, what am I going to do? And I wasn't sure about this internet thing. And my mom had just died. And it's like, trauma takes over. And how do you keep going when you got trauma? It's hard. It's hard to keep going when you got pain and difficulty. But I kept showing up. What else did you want to know? You just do the spiritual, you balance, you argue. Most of all, if I have a message, stay true to yourself. And if they don't like you, move on. Someone else will. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Salvin, for those profound insights and the reminder that leadership begins with presence. Thank you so much. Now, we'll move to Harshita. Harshita is an inspiring legal strategist and founder of a thriving law firm to share her take on the evolving role of legal experts in business, strategy, and governance. Over to you, Harshita.
Thank you so much, Aditii. Hi, my name is Harshita Kumar, and I'm founder of a law firm called Atlantic Law Associates from New Delhi. And it's a 12-year-old law firm, and I have a thriving practice of 14 years and going strong, I hope. The topic is very interesting because for decades, especially in the Indian subcontinent, it's been understood and thought that legal profession is limited to property disputes or interpersonal relation disputes, etc. And when people, say 30 years back, would decide to take law, it would supposed to be they had no other option, career options available, hence law. I finished my law degree in 2011, and when I took up the decision to practice law, to study law, the country was evolving into venturing the legal profession to the world of corporates, companies, NBFCs, coming in touch and contact with venture capitalists, etc. And the syllabus, etc., were being evolved. We had SEBI, which is evolving at a very rapid rate. We had a very limited Companies Act then. But 2016 onwards, India sees the culmination of insolvency and bankruptcy court, which completely changed the landscape of corporate law as has been categorized. When I started my law firm in 2016, 2017, it actually grew with the culmination of the insolvency and bankruptcy code. And why lawyers now have become, I feel lawyers are as to be termed as business partners, because we are not just reactive in our advice anymore. Lawyers are expected to be proactive advisories, because we have to work in hand with the MDs, the CEOs running the businesses. We have to stay abreast with anything and everything that is changing, and trust me, it's changing every minute. RBI, Reserve Bank of India, changes its notifications and guidelines every single day. And even though, so we have the LLB degree to become practicing advocates, but our acumen has to be up to the point to actually walk hand in hand with the business houses, the MNCs who we cater to. We have to keep ourselves afloat by constantly reading and practically applying the knowledge gained through books, not only in court, but actually we sit in boardroom meetings. Lawyers are entitled to be present at such meetings to give legal opinions, advisories, and to basically tell the MDs and CEOs of companies when not to invest, when to go ahead, when not to go ahead, calculation and mitigation of risks, etc. So I have seen lawyers come from not just proactive backgrounds, but now become reactive legal advisors at par with business strategists. And it's amazing how the field, the market, loves to now take an opinion and basically rely their business decisions on, I'll talk to my lawyer, or let me speak to the legal. There is a reason behind this. It's not just a cinematic dialogue anymore. When a company or the management says, let me talk to the legal, or whatever the legal opines, there are hours and hours of dedicated study and research And so there is one law, and you have lawyers from both sides trying to twist it in your favor, and whoever does the better work, their clientele benefits from it. That's how the evolution of law has taken place. And it's amazing how courtrooms have opened up for corporate litigation, as I like to say. Laws like Companies Act and Insolvency Bankruptcy Code have led to the formulation of separate company tribunals, which you might have heard as NCLT, National Company Law Tribunal. And these are specific forums entitling practice of only corporate and company law, so that the other legal proceedings are not hampered. So I am privileged and lucky to have witnessed the evolution of law and lawyers not only stay true to litigation, but actually expand their wings into the corporate world, the business world, strategize with the CEOs and MDs, help fund projects and investments. So that's a great evolution, and I really hope to see how the next 30, 40 years, till the time I'm able to practice, how does that feel for lawyers in the business world. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Harshita, for that powerful reminder of how law and leadership are more intertwined than ever before. Now let's hear from Mr. Nihar Yerubandi, a global entrepreneur who's launched ventures across geographies and industries. Nihar will share his experience on the power of connection, how strategic networks drive business growth.
Yeah. Thank you, Aditii. It's great to be on the stage with such august gathering. So how many of us like stories here? A quick raise of hands. Great. Before I get into anything, I just want to take you back to a story about 3 years back. Picture this, two friends driving in a car, going for a cricket match every week together. One's about 35 years old, one's about to kick his 40s. And the guy in his 40s has done some really amazing work in life, well backed up by his father, but has proven himself. And was telling the other friend who's exploring something new in his life that, hey, you know what? I just feel good where I am in life. And I believe this is the time that I want to take a back seat and chill and relax, spend time with my family. Has got about 2 good businesses. And the other guy sitting beside him tells him about something exciting happening in the field of networking where business leaders such as here are meeting together and having transformative discussions. This guy says, the guy who's 40 years old, you know what, let me come down once there. And they meet at one of this thing called a mixer, a social mixer. And this guy gets to meet people who are aged between 30 to 55, and everyone's who's full with energy, who wants to do something different in their life, who's ambitious. At the end of the meeting, this guy goes back to his friend and says, you know what? I think I should be doing something in life. This room is so infectious. And fast forward, he's part of that community, helping these guys build the community. And 1 year later, he opens up 2 new businesses. He ventures into collaboration with someone else in the same community and makes it big. So I'll tell who are the people in the story. The guy who's sitting beside him, beside the 40-year-old guy, it's me. I was sitting with him. We go for a cricket match every week. The other guy is a very close friend of mine. And what's the change that happened here? It's the power of networking, right? Networking has moved to a very different level. It's no more about making a connection. It's no more about getting the next business deal. It is about transforming your life. It's about transforming your personality. Networking is something that's about infectious energy. That's the word he used with me that day. He said, it was infectious, man. Why are people going up and doing this kind of stuff, and why am I sitting back at home? So that's where networking starts. So I'm talking about this community called Corporate Connections, which a couple of us are driving, me and a couple of my partners are driving in the states of AP and Telangana. This is present in across 30 countries, founded about 20 years back, called Corporate Connections. And we've had the privilege of building this in the states of AP and Telangana, where we are bringing together established entrepreneurs, visionaries, industry leaders to share their experiences and leverage that experiences and learn from each other. Networking has moved to a place where it's no more about making connections. It's about building meaningful relationships. It's no more about opening new doors. It's about building new corridors. The game has changed, and it's all about how the leaders are driving this kind of vision and the kind of stickiness you're able to build in this room. Because once you're able to build this kind of stickiness in the room, there's a culture. The culture develops in the in-between moments where people are sitting together, trying to have a conversation. I believe by the end of the day, we all will get up. We'll have a good whiskey, vodka, whatever we like. And then the conversations will flow. And then we'll be building some really interesting conversations. I had the opportunity to talk to Dr. Connor just before I walked in. Thank you, Raul, for the introduction. And I believe there's, a chance to open some line of conversation. And those line of conversations take us to places which we don't know, right? It's opening up those new doors by basically building meaningful relationships. So that's why when we talk about business, right, it's no more just about business. It's about transforming your personality with the energies that you meet. Today, there's amazing energy in this room. By mingling with those energies, you suddenly start thinking that something special can happen in your life, and you'll use that opportunity to change the way you function today, and you'll change the way you think tomorrow, and probably you'll change the way your organization functions later. And for me, that is what networking is going to do. And in the world of the wars, the challenges, the more you network, the more you're bringing down the borders, and the more you're creating opportunities for yourself. So yeah, that's my thought on networking. And I believe there's a great scope, there's a great opportunity. Congratulations to you guys for doing some tremendous work, because you're bringing in leaders from different parts of the world. And one conversation, what it can lead to tomorrow, we don't know. So I think that's my takeaway. That's my thought, 2 cents here. And I hope all of you have a great evening and network, and take that one meaningful connection away today that changes your life forever. Thank you.
Thank you, Nehar. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom that it inspires so many global leaders. Now moving on to Dr. Michael Connor. And finally, let's begin with his introduction. An educator, strategic and visionary CEO, he'll speak from classrooms to boardrooms. Leadership lessons from education. Over to you, Mr. Connor.
Thank you. Yes, so I started out originally as a practitioner in the academic world, K-12. And I'll never forget my mentor had told me, he said, what is going to make you different from every CEO in the world? What is going to make you different from every leader in the world? And I thought that question was compelling and profound, because he was asking me to challenge education fundamentally different because of the way we are today. Our operating model still is on what I like to say is fossilized, right? It has not changed in over 350 years. And he was challenging me to be able to look at the model differently. So I went back and had to think about that, of how was I going to differentiate myself with everybody else. So I wound up going back to school, and I went back to Harvard Business School and enrolled in the analytics program there, and then also went to Sloan School, MIT, and enrolled in the technology and innovation programs there. So I figured that if I was to be able to challenge the current operating model and business model of education, we have to look or seek for innovation outside of the education industry. So I started to bring in analytics and technology and AI innovation into the model to be more in alignment to the students that we're serving today, Generation Alpha and also Generation Beta, who was just born on January 1st. And I always say they're the antithesis of any of us, of any of mankind, because one thing that they have that we never had is AI, this world, this revolutionary world of artificial intelligence, this revolutionary world of technology. Now, I would say about 6 months ago, I showed my son a rotary phone. He's 9, oh, he's 10 now. And he looked at me and he said, "Papa, what is this?" And I said, it was a phone that I used to use and Grandma used to use when we were younger. And you know what his first question was? He said, "How did you take pictures with it?" So when we hear our kids, when we hear our students talk about how do you take pictures with a rotary phone, and they're still going into an education institution that still operates and has optimized practices from 250 years ago, we're not preparing our students for the future. So that is where I started to take this strategic approach around building software, around building integrated analytics and strategy for AI, so to help leaders across the world with that change management process, with strategic performance management to change the model holistically. Because again, I always say this, whether it be in keynotes or whether it be back in the United States or even internationally, is that if we continue to double down on the model that is outdated, we're continuing to exacerbating key skills and talents to develop our students for the 22nd century. We still talk about the 21st century, but our students are operating specific practices aligned to the 22nd century because of the pandemic. The pandemic has moved us forward at least 45 years. When we think about technology revolution, we think about everything that we're underscoring now. I just read a research study that says 1 out of every 3 seconds we are interacting with some type of form of artificial intelligence or some type of technology. We have our phones out right with us. That's a prime example with that. So how do we now start to align the model? And that was where I see where Dr. Crew was talking about, where now, you know, when we, in the education ecosystem, not many people are bringing analytics or AI into this broad change management aspect of changing the operating model. Moreover, building AI literacy and fluency with our stakeholders and our constituents is something that is a key differentiator that a lot of my, I like to say, peers and practitioners in the academic world are doing. So what everybody's doing here and all of our winners continue, I always like to say, to continue to challenge the status quo and also to change the status quo. Because again, we have to prepare our students and we have to prepare the education sector to be able to challenge the status quo for the 23rd century when our students come up Generation Alpha, Generation Beta. So that's why I've been embarked upon this really profound, invigorating journey on how we can be able to change holistically, globally. So that was my journey. It's pretty interesting.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Corner, for those enlightening thoughts and for reminding us how learning environments shape future leadership. Thank you so much. And with that, we conclude this thought-provoking panel. Thank you to all our incredible speakers for your time, your stories, and your perspectives. You've truly brought the theme, Power of Perspective, to life. And now, can we please give them a huge round of applause? Thank you.